We have standards in spookiness.
Yeah, I decided to do a twins episode too because I thought we kind of got bogged down in like the gross factor last time. We spent a bit too much time on Indian twins, didn't we?
Yeah. Marco Coletti Spaghetti Spag.
Yeah.
Autism Minge.
Yeah, we got some weird towers in the chat.
I wonder what he means. I wonder what he means by this.
Right, so should we just start with like the weird? Should we just start with like the weird memery? The Bogdanoff twins. I don't know anything about the Bogdanoff twins. Does anybody else?
The Bogdanoff twins are France's equivalent to the Chuck Norris memes. Every financial crisis, crash, market manipulation is the result of the Bogdanoffs masterminding it. The Bogdanoffs have psychic abilities where they were able to steal all the priceless artworks in the Louvre and replace them with forgeries which are impeccable, which they have hand-drawn themselves using their penises. The Bogdanoff twins created Bitcoin.
Do you know all of this off the top of your head, Hobbit?
The Bogdanoff twins also are France's...
Are you neither confirming nor denying the fact that you know all of this from the top of your head?
I spend a lot of time actually talking to my family about the Bogdanoff twins, and it's like, oh yeah, we used to watch them in the 70s. They used to do this astronomy show. So basically, like, you know, like America had, what's his name?
Jeff says in chat, Hobbit is impeccable.
Hobbit's impeccable, thank you. Yeah, Carl Sagan in America doing Cosmos, and we had Sir Patrick Moore doing astronomy and Keep the Darkies Out, which he was talking about how light pollution affects astronomy. And so we had that. The Bogdanoffs had, France had the Bogdanoffs, so they did science and astronomy with the Bogdanoffs. Oh, and then the Bogdanoffs decided to do plastic surgery. Or is it plastic surgery? Or are they just returning to their higher angelic form as Nordic aliens from outer space? Nobody really knows. And that's the thing. The Bogdanoffs are...
Did you know there are rumours that the Rothschilds bow to Igor and Grichka Bogdanoff?
Yes. It's spoken of in hushed tones, but when the Bogdanoffs sneeze... The Rothschilds get ill.
Rumors that the Rothschilds this is from oom2.com, you know, a real trustworthy news site. Rothschilds bow to Igor and Grichka Bogdanoff. So what are the Bogdanoffs? They're obviously not French, are they? They're not French by birth, are they?
You know, that's a good question. Why don't I actually look up a bit about the Bogdanoffs, because it is not a very French name.
Meanwhile, I'll say that I'll just do the absolute pure journalism that is oom2.com. The Rothschilds bow to Igor and Grichka Bogdanoff, in contact with aliens, possess psychic-like abilities, control France with an iron but fair fist, own castles and banks globally, direct descendants of the ancient royal bloodline, will bankroll the first cities on Mars. Bogdangrad will be the first city, own 99% of DNA editing research facilities on Earth, first designer babies will in all likelihood be Bogdanoff babies, both brothers said to have 215 plus IQ, such intelligence on Earth has only existed deep in Tibetan monasteries and Area 51. Ancient Indian scriptures tell of two angels who will descend upon Earth and bring an era of enlightenment and unprecedented technological process with them. They own nanobot R&D labs around the world. You likely have Bogdabots inside you right now. The Bogdanoffs are in regular communications with the archangels Michael and Gabriel, forwarding the word of God to the Orthodox Church. Who do you think set up the meeting between the Pope and the Orthodox High Command, the first meeting between the two organisations in 1,000 years, and arranged the Orthodox leader's first trip to Antarctica in history, literally a few days later, to the Bogdanoff bunker in Wilkes Island? England. They learned fluent French in under a week. Nation states entrust their gold reserves with the twins. There's no gold in Fort Knox, only Fort Bogdanoff. The twins are about 7 decades old from the space-time reference point of the base human currently accepted by our society. In reality, they are timeless beings, existing in all points of time and space, from the Big Bang to the end of the universe. They invented post-Annibalian Froeboid geometrics, a complex field of mathematics which only they can comprehend fully. This indigenous development proved to be ingenious, not indigenous. This ingenious development proved to be the last piece in the puzzle of time travel. This led to the design and construction of the first time machine through a joint effort between the twins, Lockheed, and the CIA, an agency they control. Trump is rumoured to be an agent of the Bogdanoffs. We don't know their ultimate plans yet. We hope they're benevolent beings.
Do you want to hear some strange but true stuff about the Bogdanoffs as well?
Well,
and this
that was strange but true, Hobby. That was pure journalism. That was.
I know it is, but some people might say, "Oh, I did see your citations on it." Source, dude, trust me.
Yeah.
So the
Peer-reviewed studies, mate.
Casimir, what do you know about the Bogdanoff twins? We're talking twins this week on the Spooky Show.
So,
what? I don't know what way is now, don't they?
Yeah.
Would you like to know their full names?
Go for it, Hobbit.
The full names: Igor Yulichevich Bogdanov and Glitchka Yulevich Bogdanov, or Bogdanovs. They were both born on 29th of August 1949, making them 71 years old. The Bogdanov twins are descended from a noble Muslim Tatar family dating back to the beginning of the 17th century. They are Tartarian. They're originally from Penza, which is
I think the
Penza
Thompson twins
Oblast.
should redo We Are Detective. We are Tartarian.
So they said the patriarch of the family converted to Orthodox Christianity, was rewarded with the title of prince with the decree of Tsar Fedor III. So Igor and Glitchka Bogdanov.
No fun zone says sanest episode yet. Yeah, we're out of the gate on this one, aren't we?
Igor and Glitchka Bogdanov are identical twin brothers born to Yuri Mikhailovich Ostin II Bogdanov, 1928-2012, a Russian painter of Tatar origin, and Maria Maya Dolores Franskia Tolorad Kalorska. Very French names.
Yeah.
Igor was the firstborn, Glitchka was born 40 minutes later. Oh, but do you want to know some more?
Igor.
Let's go for it.
They weren't raised by their mum and dad. They were raised by their maternal grandmother, Countess Belfa Kolorat Krodkowska, in the castle in southern France. The twins spoke German, also speaking French, Russian, English, through contact. They would later say with housekeepers' workers, they also speak Atlantean and Alien. What's semiology? Study of sign process, semiosis, which any activity, contact, or process that involves signs, where science defines anything that can be... Bloody hell! I'm making this shit up, and then it's like, no, Igor Bogdanov received a Diplôme d'études approfondies. That means profound. So he's got a profound degree in profound studies in semiology.
A degree in profundity.
And the doctorate in theoretical physicist. Glitchka Bogdanov earned a diploma at the Institut d'études politiques, with a doctorate in mathematics. So semiology, bloody nice. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of bullshit spoken about them, which is entirely true. But then you find out, there's also stuff this is documented, the citations are not just a dude, trust me, but real.
Speaking of people with high IQs, I actually, this is completely unrelated, but I watched a documentary about Ed Kemper yesterday. Did you know he was 6'9", 21 stone, and he was 145 IQ?
Ed Kemper.
Alpha, mate.
The co-ed killer.
Oh, I see. You eating yogurt, Cass?
More rice.
Ah, I see.
Well, what corner you got?
Rice
What
pudding.
corner you got in it? You got a corner. Is it a corner?
Yeah. No. No corner.
No, you don't get corners. That's Muller corner. He's having Muller rice.
Oh, is there a difference?
Yeah, it's just like rice.
Yeah,
It's
Muller
rice
rice
pudding.
is rice pudding.
Kemper was giant, and he was clever too. He was very clever. 145 IQ.
I mean, that's the thing. I want to do another episode about giants because my friend, who shall remain nameless, but he's a bit like dubious of the woo-woo stuff. We went to a museum of natural history where they have skeletons of dragons, and he says, "But Hobbit, they're not dragons, they're dinosaurs." And I'm like, "No, that's a cover-up for for dragons." And I said, "If you saw a giant hominid." Humanoid would you say that's a giant, or would you say, oh well, that's Homo giganticus?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the episode about twins, but the demons one.
What doesn't
stuff
dragon
like that,
literally mean? No, dinosaur means terrible lizard, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And he said,
what's a dragon? It's a terrible lizard, isn't it? I bet.
I think there's another definition for dragon, but we know what a dragon is, and we know that dinosaurs look a lot like dragons. But
here be dragons
from the artist depictions of them. But he says, "Go on, Hobbit, explain it to me." And I said, "Well, look, the Enlightenment period was to divorce us from God and the true nature of man, where we are as custodians on Earth. And because of that, all the misery and suffering we've got in this world now is because we try and pretend God's not real." And part of this is to say we're mundane, we're just random aberrations on the speck of dirt, and there was never giants, there was never dragons, even though we looked at this massive Triceratops skull and was like, that's a dragon skull. And he's like, no, it's called Triceratops. It's like, yeah, you can name the dragon Triceratops or Gary or Smaug, it's still a dragon. So, twins. Bogdanoffs.
Yeah. I actually just found one called the Yoga Twins Murder Trial. I'm just going to find out what that is all about. So I thought we could do... Oh, yeah, I think we might do that. Did one of the... okay, that's the time. Work. Hold on a sec, just doing some ad hoc... Just doing some ad hoc research.
Yep. Whilst you're doing that, I'm continuing to read about the Bogdanovs. They really are interesting.
Interesting looking, I'll give them that. Right, so here's a thing called the it's kind of, yoga teacher smiles as she's found not guilty of murdering her twin sister by driving her off a 200-foot cliff in Hawaii, despite court hearing how she cuddled and flirted with her late sibling's boyfriend hours after the crash. Alexandre Duval was not found not guilty of killing twin sister Anastasia in 2016. Judge found her not guilty after she opted for a judge instead of a jury. Authorities said the sisters were involved in a hair-pulling fight over the steering wheel just moments before they crashed off a 200-foot cliff in Hawaii. Did they do the young ones bit, did they? Look out, cliff!
Interesting enough.
I mean, could it? I mean, surely that's just a straight up. Seriously, if you're driving off a 200-foot cliff, I don't think you're expecting to be walking away, are you?
No, not really.
So, do you think it could be judged murder? If you're intending to kill the pair of you, do you think it should be judged murder?
Murder-suicide's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. To be fair, I think the one that survived was the better looking one.
What I find interesting with the...
Holy shit, look at the state of that fucking car. You see that should be on the stream now. Do you want to link to the article?
Just now. No, that's alright, I can see it there. It's like... And you're telling me survivors crawled out of that and was like...
one did. One did, one didn't.
My God. Oh, it just goes to show how effective crumple zones are then.
Yeah, fuck me.
Yeah.
That looks pretty, from what you can see there, that looks like a pretty sheer cliff, doesn't it?
We have a Bogdanoff shill in the chat. He says 17 viewers, white race saved. Time to move on from this rubbish at Marco Coletti Spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to move on then, isn't it?
Well,
Bogdanoff Shill. Igor Bogdanoff has 6 children. Glitchka Bogdanoff is not married and has no children.
Well, I guess.
How do we know that all those 6 children are Igor's?
Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
Glitchka could have done it, couldn't he?
Oh, there we go. He's moved on now. He can move on in peace.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. He can move on in peace now. So that's that sorted. So what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about what the thing for murder is, but is that murder? I suppose she intended to kill her sister when she drove off the thing, didn't she? Unless it was like some sort of accident. Hello? Anybody have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. It's just I don't have much to say about this article. I mean, my mind's still. I think I'm coming under a bit of the Bogdanoff mind control there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So right, so you got 2 people. If she's driving, she's obviously intended. I suppose you could, in the right circumstances, see it as murder. I suppose if you throw out the fact that she was going to die anyway. She drove off the cliff. The other one was a passenger, so I suppose technically it's murder, is it?
I mean, it's clearly a murder-suicide if you have, say, a weapon and you strike your target dead, and then you kill yourself afterwards with the same weapon. But in this case, I would say it's still a murder-suicide. It's like you intended to kill the victim in the car, and subsequently you died afterwards as well. I believe they're called crimes of passion because even if it's premeditated, what you're doing there is like...
No, Damien, these are another 2 mental blonde birds. These are, Damien, just so you know, these are Anastasia and Alexandria. Something or other. I think they changed their names, didn't they? Alexandria and Anastasia Duval, who drove off a cliff together. So, another couple of mental blonde birds.
I'll say, you don't get one, you get 2. You don't get one, you get 2 pairs of mental twins.
You buy one, you get one free. I said you buy one, you get one free. Anyway, let's like 4 people who are completely not trained in the law. Should we discuss whether this is murder or not?
Yes, armchair lawyers. So
yeah,
let's call him crime bodge.
So she drove a car off a cliff with herself and her twin sister in it.
But for some reason, the driver survived, which is kind of weird, considering when you look at the state of that fucking car. No one should have survived that, should they?
I'd say 2nd-degree murder.
I'd say manslaughter. But then again, it looks like she intended to kill her passenger, didn't she? So
you'd possibly get diminished responsibility because that's pretty mental.
Yeah, but you can see why she got off because it's a difficult one to prove, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume they did a toxicology to see if she was drink driving and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice titties.
I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on this one, but it's something we can touch on later if you've got something else in the pipe. But one thing you wanted to mention, and it goes into a broader subject, is sibling telepathy, and specifically the telepathy that twins share.
Well, the thing is, there was that other... Do you remember the Silent twins we were talking about? One of those... They decided that one of them had to die so the other one could live, because you talk about this is where we can talk about the woo-woo, because you I assume this is where you're going, where you're going to say that are they 2 people sharing the same soul?
Yeah. She sells seashells at the seashore with her soul, sharing the same soul. It's a difficult question because I don't have an answer to it, and I don't really know how to define a soul. But the question is, are twins 2 bodies sharing the same soul, or are they 2 separate souls that happen to be like mirror images of one another, or they're 2 very similar souls? And of course, I suppose the third I love science answer is that, well, they're just random clump of cells.
Yeah.
There's no such
They're
thing
just
as a
two
soul.
random clumps of cells on a random mud ball spinning in a
Yeah.
random manner around a random planet with just the right circumstances for life to live.
it's just
He's
all-
just coincidence guy.
It's just random coincidences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a whole chain
Yeah.
of random coincidences that lead to you living.
So the reason, sort of back to the original thing, which you're saying is leading up to that, is sibling telepathy. I believe it's Rupert Sheldrake. Someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's done experiments into telepathy. And
I missed Alphabet Cat. He said the DVLA would definitely not allow that back on the road.
yeah, I believe that would be written off.
Yeah.
Or can you imagine the insurance premiums after that, Joel?
Oof. That's definitely a Cat D,
pricey.
isn't it?
Yeah. But your premiums will go up after an accident of that sort. Now, future. I don't know. Telepathy. I've probably mentioned telepathy before, not just in this episode, but ones prior to this. Telephone telepathy. Experiments conducted. You, the experiment subject, have 4 contacts who will ring you. And you will be told on certain days, like, okay, this is part of the experiment. They're going to ring you now. And you have to guess, of the 4, which one's going to ring it. Now, statistically speaking, you should be right 1 in 4 times. But they find that actually you're right 71% of the times. That's done across like numerous people, which is statistically significant because that's way more than 1 in 4. I mean, 71% is almost 3 in 4. So, yeah. And like, so what I'm trying to do is establish that, yes, there is a form of telepathy. People get feelings. I certainly know when someone's going to message me and I'll start thinking about them. And I realize it's not an active ability. I can't just like start thinking of somebody I'd like to talk with and then they suddenly message me. It doesn't work like that. But siblings have it, and twins are more similar than any other siblings. But for as an example, my grandmother has a brother, younger brother, and she lives in England, he lives in Australia. She woke up one night, in the morning, woke up her husband, said, my brother is dead. I said, what? How do you know? I said, I just know. And then she gets a call the next day, and it's from family in Australia, and saying, your brother's dead, heart attack in his sleep. What time? This time. Would that have been 2 in the morning, UK time? Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's when I woke up and knew he was dead.
Yeah, I've actually got some. I actually found some twin stories that kind of feed into this. If you want me to do those ones, the coincidences of twins growing up separately. I think this is the one.
Oh, and they're leading almost identical lives.
Yeah, there's one called the Jim twins. So if you're into coincidences and synchronicity, you may well have heard of the following, as it's now considered classic. It's a story of twins who are adopted while babies to different families. They never knew each other while growing up, but finally, February 9th, 1979, after 39 years, they were reunited. It was then that the coincidences were discovered. It was as if they'd been living parallel lives. James Lewis, one of the twins, an Ohio resident, is married to a woman called Betty, with whom he has a son, James Allen. He's also been previously married to someone called Linda. James Springer, the other twin, note they both have the first names, so these are twins separated at birth, also married a woman called Linda, but they got divorced. He in turn met a woman also named Betty, who became his second wife, and yes, they had a son called James Allen, this time spelt with 2 L's. The first one was 1. So these coincidences alone would have been amazing enough, but there was much more. They're named James, both known as Jim. Both have dog names. Both had dogs named Toy as children. They both liked carpentry and maths while at school, but hated spelling. Both had law enforcement style occupations. James Lewis was a security guard while his brother was a deputy sheriff. They both suffered migraine headaches at the same time of day. Both drank Miller Lite. Both had high blood pressure. Both had undergone vasectomies. Both disliked baseball. Both chain smoked. Both favoured St. Petersburg in Florida as a vacation beach, and so it went on. What do you think to that then, Hobbit?
This is the bit where I'm thinking it's the same soul in two bodies.
Yeah.
Because if we just random clump of souls, LOL, why would they be leading such similar lives?
Yeah. It's the similar lives is one thing, but like divorcing someone called Linda and marrying someone called Betty. That's
the
like
other thing as
beyond
well.
weird, isn't it?
Don't get that. I do not. It does not compute.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? What else? I've got another one here. After 28 years, she met her unknown twin in Sweden. Oh, God. Bruins. Quite an amazing coincidence story of how Indonesian twins separated when 8 months old find each other again after 28 years, living just 60 kilometres away from each other in Sweden. Bizarrely, there are other coincidences as well, completely out of the blue. Lynn Backlund received a message on Facebook from someone claiming to be a twin. She didn't even know she had one. She thought the message was from a crazy person, but mentioned it to her Swedish parents who had adopted her in Indonesia when she was an 8-month-old baby. There was nothing on the adoption papers to say she was a twin. Well, there's not, is there? Even so, she decided to answer the Facebook message, which was from Emily Falk. Falk. To cut a long story short, they eventually met up but didn't look alike. Lynn said that even so, it felt like we'd known each other for a long, long time, even though we hadn't. More meeting followed because both felt a strong connection. They decided to have DNA tests to decide once and for all. Tests came back, sure enough, it was proven they were sisters, well, it doesn't actually prove they were twins, it just proves they were sisters, doesn't it? Oh, but they were both born on March 18th, 1983, so I suppose that proves they are twins. Twins found there are other coincidences. Both teachers, both married on the same day. Both played the song You and Me by Lifehouse at their weddings. Both speak Skansa as a Swedish dialect. And the next hope to try and see if they can trace any relatives in Indonesia, but really don't mind what we find, never found each other, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So even people from other cultures have the same. A couple of twin stories here. My twin brother and I have just turned 20, and people find it weird because he's a guy, I'm a girl. They seem to be amazed at how close we are. When we were 9 years old, my brother went to stay with my grandmother while the rest of the family stayed in the city for a couple of months. My father tells the story of how one night it was very quiet, then suddenly I woke up and wouldn't stop crying. It appeared I was choking, but wasn't. No matter what my parents did, they couldn't stop my tears. I kept trying to reach over to my brother's empty cot. My dad felt something was wrong, so he told my mum to ring up my grandmother to check on my brother. My mum didn't really want to make the call so late at night, but she rang my grandmother and found that my brother, who has asthma, was in his cot almost choking to death. They rushed him to hospital and thankfully he recovered. According to my father, it wasn't until my gran said the ambulance was there that I stopped crying. My brother and I have a bond so strong nothing can break it. We know what each other is thinking and we know how the other one is in trouble. I wouldn't give up being a twin for the world. It reminds me of that joke. You know the joke, don't you, Hobbit? About my twin. How do I know the difference between you and your twin where he's got a moustache?
Oh yeah.
Oh, how about this one? This is a creepy one. When I went to junior school, there was a friend Jennifer who kept on saying how she would love to have been a twin. Maybe lots of people think how it would be good to be a twin, but Jennifer was obsessed by the thought. Sometimes she even pretended she had a twin and talked to her. One day when she was 7 or 8, she told her mother how she always wanted a twin sister. It was then her mother told her she'd actually been a twin, but her sister had died at birth.
Oh, and I think it's worth mentioning Aphex Twin. His brother died early on in life, and he's gone on to make some really normal sounding music ever since then. Very good, especially like I think he did a song called Rhubarb.
On's a really good tune. I quite like On. That's a good one.
He did Come to Daddy as well. That's a classic.
Bit creepy. Didgeridoo. Didgeridoo was a good one.
Yeah. Didn't he do one with like these teddy bears in the music video? And
I don't know. I don't really know his latest stuff. I know like more of the early 90s stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. It was one of like the late, maybe in early 2000s, but I think that's the one called Rhubarb, and they got like these teddy bears and they're bouncing against one another, and Spacey Traces Aphex Twin Selected Ambient Works is a classic. Yeah, that's why I first heard Extal. Very good, and probably a bit of an influence on my style of music. New song came out, by the way.
Yeah, it's some good reviews, aren't you, Hobbit?
Yes, very pretty.
How about these twin deaths and other twin coincidences? No coincidence is good news. One such case was reported by news groups around the world in 2002 when two 70-year-old twin brothers died. The Finnish twins were killed on the same stretch of road within hours of each other. The scene was set in how would you pronounce that? Do you know how to pronounce Finnish stuff, Hobbit? R-A-A-H-E.
R-H-A-E.
No, R-A-A-H-E.
R-A-H-E.
Two A's, one H.
Rahi. I'm going to go with Rahi.
We'll go Rahi. Rahi. Are we going to go for a Rahi?
I don't think there's any scouse in Finnish.
Rahi. How about that then?
It's more sort of like Horgi-Borgi, isn't it?
Yeah, Rahi, something like that. Anyway, 600 kilometres north of the capital Helsinki, I can say Helsinki, where the first twin met his death while riding his bicycle and was hit by a lorry. 2 hours later, his brother was crossing the same road, again on his bicycle, when he was hit and killed by another lorry. There is no reason to suspect the second twin knew of his brother's death. Think to that one then, Hobbit.
Spooky.
It's interesting as to how many twins have a special connection. Debbie Lachuza, for example, has written a book, The Twin Connections, covering this subject. Debbie gives examples of her own connection with her twin. Our husbands also share the same birthday. No, they're not twins. They're both left-handed, they both wear glasses, and they both graduated from the same high school. Pretty weird, eh?
So they both graduated from the same high school at the same time?
Yeah.
Or...
Well, I don't know, it doesn't say the same age, but...
Well, that's the other thing as well. I mean, I start wondering about archetypes, because identical twins is one thing, but archetypes is another, where you see like the same type of man or woman being born again. For example, there's an old photograph from the Victorian era of one of my ancestors, and he looks a lot like my late uncle. And whereas my late uncle was interested in electronics and quite autistic about it, my ancestor was quite autistic about cattle breeding and bulls and bird breeding, and a lot of his work got published in the Eugenics Society. And no, I should not be giving his name because that's a bit too doxy.
Yeah.
But they look so similar. They had the same style beard and everything. And not that there's any recording of his voice, but I bet he would have had the same sort of intonation. And I bet you anything that he would have looked up whilst holding his hands over his gut when you ask him a question. My uncle did that.
Do you want to talk about just general, like, they're not twins, but there's creepy coincidences?
What, like Vladimir Putin being in World War One and World War Two, and also
Mesut Ozil being the Ferrari guy.
Mesut Ozil, the Ferrari guy?
Yeah.
You lost me.
Mesut Ozil looks exactly like Enzo Ferrari. I saw that earlier while I was looking.
Oh, okay. Is he any relation to Enzo Ferrari?
Doubt it. I think he's like Turkish Muslim footballer.
Oh, okay.
Plays for Germany, so probably not a great deal of chance of that.
No. That's but it's. I mean, let me see if I can find it as well.
So I'll tell you about Hugh Williams. This name is one of the most infamous names throughout history and shipwrecks. The triggering event of the creation of this creepy occurrence circulating this name was in 1660, when there was an awful shipwreck in the Dover Straits. When the rescuers came to the scene, the only man that survived this tragedy was Hugh Williams. The next event happened in 1767, when there was another tragic shipwreck that happened to be in the same area as the one in 1660. It was revealed the only survivor was a man named Hugh Williams. The creepy coincidence of these two survivors having the same name doesn't stop there. In 1820, a ship capsized on the Thames, leaving there to be only one survivor by the name of Hugh Williams. The ending of this creepy coincidence was in 1940 when a ship was destroyed by a German mine. Again, as rescuers came to the scene, there was surprisingly only 2 survivors from the tragic event. The 2 survivors happened to be uncle and nephew. Oddly enough, both their names were Hugh Williams. Hobbit.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, this is the same thing as Mesut Ozil, so I'll show you that in a sec. The infamous Miss Unsinkable. This is just a throwback to the Titanic. It's nothing to do with twins. Violet Jessop was a well-known name throughout history as the person who refused to sink. The start of her creepy coincidence her creepy coincidence sequence started when she was a stewardess and nurse on the HMS Olympic. During her time on the ship, it had crashed into the HMS Hawke. Later on in life, she was also on the HMS Britannic, where the ship unfortunately sank after it struck a sea mine. To conclude her odd coincidence, she was also on board of the famous Titanic, or the Olympic, the night it had struck the iceberg and sank to the bottom of the ocean. From these occurrences, she gained the popular name of Miss Unsinkable since she survived all of these mishaps. So there you go then, Hobbit. Ferrari company founder or football player, Hobbit.
Okay. Do you want to read this one?
It's just basically Enzo Ferrari looks like as Mesut Ozil, the football player.
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned that, and there's one up. It's from UR Daily Star. So UR Daily Star,
yeah.
And the headline reads: "Is Vladimir Putin immortal?" All caps, question mark. Incredible photos send conspiracy theorists crazy. Emphasis mine. So there's a photograph here, and I'm going to put it in doodly pad because this will just sum up the entire story. So doodle pad, put it in there. There you go. There's a picture. So on the left, one from 1920 is Vladimir Putin. One in 1941 is Vladimir Putin. And one in 2015 is Vladimir Putin. Now, they're all wearing military uniforms. Coincidence? I think not. Maybe Vladimir Putin is some sort of soldier breeding program that the Russians have, so that they keep breeding the same man over and over again. And I think that could be fairly likely because the Russians, like a few of their soldier breeding programs came to light, like, hey, let's make women have sex with monkeys and gorillas so that they can birth super strong soldiers, which is a bit silly. But at the same time, cloning
is that how he ended up with Harvey
in
Price?
No, he's not Russian.
Okay then.
Now, I think it's far more likely, and this might actually go into twins as well, because they were researched. Cloning was being done in the 1940s in Germany. Dolly the sheep is not the first cloned animal. And in fact, even the inventor sort of says, well, I don't see what the news is about.
I have to say, like, if you're going to clone something, surely you want to clone something that's like known for its distinctiveness.
Well, this is the thing. I like the first animals being cloned were rabbits, and I just think I can't really tell rabbits apart. I mean, I'm not a rabbit respecter like some people. A montage
I suppose they could claim mice with ears on their back.
Oh yeah, that too. That's always fun.
Yeah.
A montage has emerged online of 3 photos claiming Vladimir Putin, 63 years old, has lived from the early 1900s to now and has barely aged. Or could be clones. So this Vladimir clone has been going around since 1920. 2 black and white photos, one claimed to be from 1920 and another from 1941, are positioned next to a photo of Putin pictured this year, if this year was 2015.
This 6 years ago.
The 2 older images show a male figure with remarkable facial similarities to the Russian, yet remarkable facial similarities because they're the same man. Both also appear to be in military uniform. And I don't know what that trench coat is if it's not a military uniform. I mean, the other one he's
just
wearing
gone out
like
raving, hasn't he? I think that was Putin from the 90s, wasn't it? When he gone out raving, got his beanie hat on. He whistle.
Oh, the beanie hat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
he's got his summer hat on.
and he's got his medals for no surrender, 5-day MDMA bender.
Yeah.
Yeah. The photo has been shared hundreds of times by online conspiracy theorists.
Actually, to be fair, that 1920s one looks like more like Emilio Estevez.
Really?
Tell me, it looks like a bit like he's Emilio Estevez, you know, from Young Guns, Billy the Kid.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting him and Eric Estrada mixed up, and I was like, he doesn't look like Eric Estrada.
No, Emilio, you know Emilio Estevez is, no? He's Charlie Sheen's brother, but for some reason he picked his mother's maiden name, I think.
Oh, weird. Okay, because isn't he in Breakfast Club?
Breakfast
and
Mighty Ducks.
Men at Work?
Yes, Men at Work. A little known comedy
brother.
classic. That's Charlie Sheen's brother.
Yeah, it's really funny that I didn't know they were brothers. Maybe it's like that thing they do, like don't have the same name as your brother because there's already a Martin Sheen and a Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
so
I think like
name.
Charlie Sheen's like a spit of his dad anyway, so Charlie Sheen would always have to be the Sheen, wouldn't he?
That's probably it, yeah.
But actually, I watched that. There's a new Mighty Ducks series on Disney, and Emilio Estevez is starting to look like his dad now. He's starting to look like Martin Sheen.
Wait, isn't that the thing with like Scrooge McDuck and he like dives into
the Mighty Ducks.
The
Mighty Ducks is about the loser hockey team.
What's the show about like a family that makes duck calls and one of them's drinking iced tea?
Duck Dynasty.
They got really long beards.
That's Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. Yeah.
Dynasty.
Well, here's the thing, right? So the Daily Star article, it blathers on for a bit. They say, some believe the leader has taken a sip from the fountain of youth, but others
Isn't
remain
the Daily
skeptical.
Star a commie rag anyway? Sorry, Phil.
Who are Daily Star? The Star.
That's what it's the Star's for.
Yeah. I quite like the Star. But the thing is, like, nobody actually here is saying, why don't they just give the opposite opinion that, hey, maybe the Russians have got a cloning program and they keep cloning Vladimir Putin.
Have you seen this down the side? Proof of aliens will lead to new religions and massive military spending, says Barack Obama.
It's from 2015.
Ooh.
They've been doing this.
How about tiger trainers' grisly injuries after big cats went nuts, savaging him during a live show?
Oh, I've seen that video.
Ooh, poor bloke.
I mean, I'm not supposed to say it's pretty funny, but I mean, if I laughed, then you know what?
You know, like, play stupid games, win grisly prizes.
Yeah. It's like I put my penis into the mouth of a bear and it didn't do it hurt.
Yeah. Or that guy. Do you remember that guy was doing the bit where you put your head inside the crocodile's mouth and he happened to sweat and it dropped and fucking triggered the croc's bite reflex.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because apparently that's the thing with crocs. They're fine until you trigger like the snap. There's like a snap. They've got like some sort of snap reflex, so something enters the mouth and they snap.
What, are they like a Venus flytrap?
Yeah, kind of, but they're big. But they're bigger and they're a bit more dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to put saying in potential stories. I just saw it in the sidebar there. Shall I read that headline now, or no? I have to read out the headline because it makes me laugh. Yeah. Weatherspoon's forced to apologise to fuming family who waited 2 hours for drinks.
I'd love to know which episode the fuming video was on, because that used to crack me up, that did.
Oh, that woman, she was absolutely fuming.
She was fuming.
Something about she bought a car, like a toy car for a grandson. And Argos refused to refund it, even though it broke 5 minutes.
So what's the upshot from the thing? The Kremlin declined comment.
Oh, they don't even get that far. It's just a case of today it emerged that what?
Imager user Pablo Libalibali wrote he's not 95 years old.
Yes. Judge, Judy, and executioner added, all that Russian around is good for his health.
Almost forgot to laugh. So I got another winner. Yeah, this was actually my Ladybird book of the unexplained. King Umberto the First. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
This creepy coincidence has a bone-chilling storyline. On July 28th, 1900, King Umberto I of Italy decided to go out to dinner that night and went to a small restaurant in Monza. During his time here, the owner took the king's order and was ironically called Umberto as well. As the order was being taken, the king and the owner slowly realised that the two of them were apparent virtual doubles. As the night went on, both men sat down with one another and soon discovered they had more similarities than differences. For starters, both of these men were married on the same day, which was March the 14th, 1844, and happened to have their weddings in the same town named Turin. This tale of a creepy coincidence runs deeper as they discover they both married a woman called Margherita, and that the restaurant had opened the same day as Umberto became king. After a self-discovery night for the two Umbertos, the king sadly discovered that the restaurant owner had tragically died in what some called a mysterious shooting.
Hammy, I'm not sure if you read this story out or not, because it's not quite twins related. But did you do babies falling from the sky?
No. Do you want me to do babies falling? You always would have babies out the windows, Hobbit.
Yeah,
that was a Sopranos joke.
It's not a Michael Jackson story. So
the king then expressed his regret to the crowd, and this is where an anarchist in the group rose from the crowd and assassinated the king. Now, do you think, Hobbit, this is like going conspiracy from a coincidence? Do you think these two possibly could have been twins? Because you couldn't have twins as prince and monarch, could you?
It would be, no. One of them would have been hidden away.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because there's no way you could have twins. I mean, how the fuck do you work it out? Would it be? I suppose it'd be the twin that'd be out first, but then it'd be a really weird situation because the other twin would have kind of an equal claim to the throne, wouldn't it? Because that's the theory of like the man in the iron mask, isn't he? That he's the king's twin.
Oh, I see. I didn't know if that was real or not, that story. But haven't I read like an Aesop's fable where there was like a king and his lookalike, and like occasionally the king would just want to be...
What the fuck is it called? I can't remember what it's called.
Oh,
but
the
yes.
Pauper and the Prince. That's it.
Prince and the Pauper. I think it's the other way around.
Yeah. In your country, you call it Prince and Pauper. In my country, we call it the Prince and the Coutier.
The Prince and the Paupier. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, because you wouldn't have... I assume back then they wouldn't have let twins become heir to the throne because it caused no end of trouble, wouldn't it? And possibly a civil war as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because which of the two equally valid ones? Do you think like because with the royal families, I mean, occasionally that there are twins, but like if it's like heir to the throne, then it's like, oh,
that's the thing. Have you ever seen twins in a royal family?
No, I'm even wondering if like the doctors go, okay, toss a coin, which one are we going to murder?
Well, murder or just give away.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just thought they'd have like drowned them at birth or something.
Well, I would have thought the Umberto thing would say the same. Would say the same because it's all the hallmarks of them pair being twins, isn't it? The same as Jim and Jim, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is something that right up until now I haven't thought of, and the fact that you don't have heirs to the throne that are twins.
Yeah.
And let me just see right now if I can see twins in royal family. Let's see if there's any royal families in the world where they've got twins. List of royal twins. Here we go. Archduchess Michaela of Austria and Archduchess Monica of Austria.
That's Duchess, isn't it? They don't really have a...
but Archduchess. Hang on. So there was...
So what's that rank? Is that a rank that puts them near to the top, or is it just like not a very high rank?
If it was like the Archbishop, that's the highest authority in the C of E. So with a Archduke, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Archduchess, That's the highest rank. So Austria do have like two. So hang on,
Yeah, but
von
Austria isn't a
Habsburg.
proper country, is it? I mean, it spits out people like Hitler, doesn't it?
What you mean, Southern Germany?
Yeah,
Michaela
Southern
von
Germany.
Habsburg. Michaela Maria Madeline Kilania.
So does it explain which one of them's getting to the top then?
Oh, well, I'm about to read that bit.
Yeah.
Kilana Habsburg Loflingen was born 13th September 1954 in Würzburg. She is the twin sister of Monica von Habsburg and daughter of Otto von Habsburg and Princess Regina, the vagina of Saxe-Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Wikipedia article, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, they don't say which one is heir to the throne, because the Archduchess is. Why? Okay, I want to know more about. I'm just going to put Archduchess Michaela of Austria. And
Right, I'm going to disappear. I'll be back in a sec.
Right, so I'm going to read about Michaela von Habsburg. Michaela von Habsburg. What is this? Info Planetary Intergalactic? What's this Wikipedia? It's not Wikipedia. Yeah, they got. All right, okay. Archduke Karl. Princess Imperial, Archduchess of Austria, Princess Royal of Hungary and Bohemia, Countess of Kaganek, is the daughter of she is twin sister of Monica von Habsburg. She's married to some non-royal called Eric. Divorced in 1994. After divorce, she met Count Hubertus von Kaganek, son of blah blah blah. Doesn't say. Well, maybe I should have a look at the Austrian imperial family. That will tell me who's in line of the throne. Counts of Habsburg. Bloody hell, there's a lot of stuff here. All I want to know is a bit about the twins. Sorry, chap. This bit is important. I need to find out more information about these. The history of the Austrian Empire. No. So that's to say, the Archduke is the region of that land. So I don't know more about that. Marriage and issue. There was 3 children. Yeah, okay. So what about her son, Michaela von Habsburg, Monica von Habsburg? Let's find out about Monica. Much bigger article about Monica von Habsburg. Born and largely raised during her father's exile from his native land, Austria, she's not legally allowed to visit or live until 1969. To find a home near Austrian border to raise a family, parents acquired a large villa in Pocking, Bavaria, which her father commuted weekly to his work in Vienna and Innsbruck as vice president of the Pan-European Union. I didn't know there's something called the Pan-European. Is this like some alternate reality? I'm on a thing called infogalactic.com, Planetary Knowledge Core.
I went skiing in Innsbruck when I was a kid.
I'm trying to find out information about the Austrian imperial family. Instead of going on Wikipedia, I'm on a website just like Wikipedia, but it's called infogalactic.com. What is this? I'll put it in potential stories.
Have you hacked into the higher realms of the internet, Hobbit?
Have I gone like some like royal family? Search Infogalactic, the Planetary Knowledge Core, and like today's featured content is the Dorset Ooser. It's a wooden head that features 19th century folk culture of Melbury Osborne. Is this like this is not Wikipedia, but it looks like I want to find out what is infogalactic.com. What is infogalactic.com? Because this is a bit introduction. Oh, okay. Infogalactic is an internet-based free content encyclopedia that is a dynamic fork of Wikipedia and improves upon the online encyclopedia's model of openly editable content. Okay. The pages are interlinked in order to connect users to it. So Infogalactic is a fork of Wikipedia. That's cool. Okay. I just thought that was strange. So one of the royal twins have we got? Prince Jamie, Count of Bardi. Prince Jamie Bernardo of Bourbon-Parma, Count of Bardi. Is that Italian? Second son and third child of Princess Erline of the Netherlands and Carlos Hugo, Duke of Parma. Member of the Royal and Ducal House of Bourbon-Parma. Bourbon. Is Bourbon French? House of Bourbon-Parma. No idea. But he's a twin. Princess Margarita of Bourbon-Parma. And, here we go. Hey, you're going to love this name. We're into some of the foreign ones here now.
Oh, God, then
foreigners, I should say. Princess Aisha bint Al Faisal. She's a bint. Princess Aisha bint of Jordan, born 27 March 1997, is the daughter of Prince Faisal bin Hussein and Princess Alia, a niece of King Abdullah II of Jordan. She's the younger sister of Prince Aya, and Prince Omar.
Oh, yeah.
And she's also the twin of Princess Sarah. She attends Amman Baccalaureate School, a private school in Amman, Jordan. And then, they got Princess Sarah bint Al Faisal as well. So they're both bints.
There's a lot of bints.
Hey, this is a
Muslim
classic
bints,
Belgian. So this is a classic Belgian name. So we got Prince Nicholas of Belgium. Yeah, okay, Nicolas. Nicolas Casimir Marie.
Casimir.
So a boy's name. Yeah,
hello,
Nicholas Casimir.
I'm a prince, mate.
I'm Prince Nicholas Casimir Marie, born 30th of December 2005. Yeah, he's as old as Casimir and all. Casimir. Oh, he's not in the show anymore. Are you
Is he
actually
a prince? Have we had a prince in our Discord and nobody knew?
This wouldn't be the first time my family's known Belgian royalty and not known it. Did I ever tell you the story about the champion fisherman in Hastings? And it turned out that I think it was King Bartholomew. My mum remembers which one it is. There was a popular king over there, and he used to go on holiday to Hastings to go fishing, and he'd go fishing with my great uncle, whose name I'm not going to give out. But he's in Hastings, and he's a champion fisherman. There's not many of them, so okay. Fair enough. But anyway, Prince Nicholas of Belgium, Prince Nicholas Casimir Marie. I always thought he was a femboy. Do you want to know what his twin brother's called?
Go on then.
Prince Aymeric, Aymeric, Prince Aymeric of Belgium.
Aymeric.
Aymeric.
Is it like turmeric but a bit gentler?
Yeah. Aymeric Auguste Marie. I assume Marie is their surname then. That's a strange surname to have, isn't it? Mary. What's your name? Mr. Mary. No, it's Prince Mary. So Prince. No, you're not Prince Mary.
Hey,
that's
this
Queen
might be like
Scots.
the Da Vinci. We've cracked the Da Vinci Code, Hobbit. They're the fucking. They're the descendants of Jesus, aren't they? They're the San Grail, mate. We've discovered the Holy Grail, Hobbit.
Hey, there you go. Here's the
They're
Fortean
descendants
words
of Mary
first.
Magdalene. We've done it first, lads.
So where's Casimir in our server? I'm gonna rename him. Where is he? Is he offline?
No, he's something white. YTS Officer Dibble, isn't he?
Let's see. I can't rename him. Can you rename him Prince Nicholas Casimir Marie?
Yeah. Is it Maria as in MRIE?
Oh, here we go. I'll put in the thing in doodling pad, and then you can it's got the first little bit there. Prince Nicholas Casimir Marie, 13th of December 2005. So when is his birthday? It is December, isn't it? Casimir, what are you
Well, you know
not
what
telling
happened, don't you? One of them went into the Belgian royal family, and the other one was sent to Bolton, weren't it?
Is this like the Belgian equivalent of Central
If the coin toss had gone the other way, we wouldn't even know Casimir. He'd be a hoity-toity fucking royal, Belgian royal, wouldn't he? What, Belgian?
Yeah,
what country?
Belgian royal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. He is the Prince Nicholas of Belgium.
Yeah.
I'm going to click on more, and there's alleged corruption scandals. Hang on.
Oh, that is our cast, isn't it?
I want to see marriage and children.
Give us the link to Casimir's page. I'll stick it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at Prince Laurent of Belgium, which is his father. Prince Carlo. His godfather.
So would they have been related to Casimir? That's why they'd pick it. Well, they picked it then. Not our Casimir. I mean the Casimir who Casimir was named after.
Oh, they don't have Wikipedia pages about them. It's a mention on Prince Laurent of Belgium, and
yeah,
that does look like Casimir's dad.
He looks like a fucking down and out.
Yeah, he
looks like a downer. Hey, you got some spare change for a ball of bookie, pal? Hey, pal, you got any change for a ball of bookie, pal?
Did I spot him in my mother's town the other day? We was like pissing up against the wall. It's like, I sent my son to England. I sent him to the north in Bolton.
I sent him to Bolton to toughen him up.
Alleged corruption scandal. This is probably so he gets away from it.
Alleged corruption scandal.
In March 2011, the prince visited the former Belgian colony of the Congo without receiving the required permission. The reported purpose of the visit was to promote awareness of deforestation. As a result, on 9th of April, accepted conditions laid by Belgian Prime Minister Yves Leterme regarding his future activities. Had he not done so, the matter of his annual appendage would have been in question.
His appendage?
What isn't? Yeah, his
appendage is usually another word for cock, isn't it?
An appendage or an appanage is a grand title of an estate or other thing of value to a younger child of a sovereign, but otherwise have no inheritance.
Hey, I'm a fucking royal, you know, mate. I'm a fucking royal.
He's
royal.
A
quid for a bucky. I'm a royal, you know, mate. Fucking hell.
No, that's the thing. You say he's a down and out. He is actually a down and out. He doesn't inherit anything from the King of Belgium. So the appendage is just the Belgian government going like, "Here's your dole money, mate."
Oh, have you seen Laurent's involvement with animal welfare and the environment, together with a relative lack of interest in protocol, has caused him to be dubbed by elements of the popular Belgian press as "Ecolo Gaffer, the Eco Blunderer." How'd you say that properly, of it?
Oh, I just think in this episode needs to be renamed. We find Casimir's dad. Casimir's dog.
Get a wee bottle of bucky, pal. I'm going to save the environment. God, Quinn, save the environment, pal.
Do you think his deadbeat dad drinking buckies? Like, I can't afford both. He's got 3 children, right? He's got a daughter, Princess Louise.
Yeah,
and she's older by a year. And it's like I can't keep both Nicholas Casimir.
He looks like a sitcom character, doesn't he?
He reminds me of Ronnie Corbett, like a fat Ronnie Corbett.
There is an actual actor that he reminds me of, but I just can't think who it is. What does that say on his badge?
Hang on. I'm just got to put like.
Is it Dwim? Is it Dwim Jimmy? Dwimjimmy.be?
I'll have a look on this. Thing. So, Quim is the first word. That is an old word for vagina. Quim Jimmy.
He's a cunt. I'm a cunt, me. I'm a cunt, me. Is that what it is? I'm a cunt, me.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's saying.
I'm a cunt, me.
So, the first word is definitely quit. Let me see if I can find. Let's try DUIM.be. Let's see if. I don't think anything's coming up. So, what if I type in Prince Laurent?
Nordic.
Nordic. Me.
Yo.
Celia Sodus in the chat wants to play DayZ. You got it on the PS4?
I've got it on the PS4, but I haven't got my my PS Plus isn't in date at the minute because I've just been playing PC.
Oh,
So,
okay then.
give me a couple of weeks and I'll be back on it.
I can't find any information about Quim Jabin. My God, he's only 57 years old. That's a hard 57 years old. That was 6 years ago.
Christopher Biggins.
That
I think that might be. It's not quite Christopher Biggins, but it's close enough, isn't it?
It's Christopher Biggins' Belgian cousin. That's who it is.
Christopher Biggins' down and out cousin. He looks like a fucking down and out, doesn't he?
Oh, bear in mind, in this photo, so he's 57
Hey
years
mate,
old.
you got
now.
quid for the monarchy. You got quid for the monarchy, pal.
In this photograph, he's
monarchy.
In this photograph, he's 51 years old. That has been a hard 51 years. I tell you what, sleeping rough on the streets of Belgium is not good for a man.
Too much bucky. He needs to lay off the bucky. It was fucking killing him, isn't it?
Oh, here we go. This probably explains why he's sort of been hitting the bucky hard. Currently, he's 13th in the Belgian line of succession. He had been as high as third in line, but the constitution was then amended in 1991 to extend equal right of succession to women.
Oof.
Belgium was based until 1991.
I used to be somebody. I was hick somebody. I was hick. I could have been a contender hick.
I was third in line to the floor and I have, you know. Got give us a quid, mate. I got some white lightning. Good, mate. But so now, because there's an equal right of succession to women, why? Puts him behind his sister, Princess Astrid, and her descendants. So, sucks to be you.
I'll take
Prince
it. Astrid's a fucking regular fucking rabbit, then, is she? Breeding like a fucking good one.
Well, he was third in line. He's now 13th, so it's Astrid and her 9 children.
Fucking hell. She's going for it, isn't she?
Yeah. Jeez. Poor, like, yeah, so nice. Casimir. Yeah, we got some.
Found you, Casimir.
I'm gonna have to start speaking to him in French from now on and say more.
I'm fucking Prince, mate.
We Falklands, mate.
I don't even know. Wow. Tell you what, you could probably get hold of some decent quality oysters.
Yeah. That dude looks like he could get some decent quality fucking bucky. I'll tell you that much.
Formal titles of address. Formal titles of address to Belgian royalty. I'm going to see how to properly address protocol, the Belgian
God,
monarchy.
could you imagine if we could hear what Toppy was fucking whining about right now?
This is monarchy.be, and it says, when meeting the king or a member of the royal family, the usual courtesy requires shaking hands. On presentation to His Majesty the King in later conversation, this is Your Majesty. Presentation to Her Majesty, it's also Your Majesty or Madam. Eventual address fellow member of Majesty King Albert, Your Majesty. Queen Paola, Your Majesty or Madam. Other male members of the royal family.
Wouldn't it be better if his name was Christophe? Because then it'd be Christophe Benoit, wouldn't it? Because he's Laurent Benoit Baudouin Marie, isn't he?
The proper title of address to a prince of the Belgian nobility is Your Royal Highness. So, Your Royal Highness Casimir.
Your Royal Highness, I'm not giving you a quid for a bottle of bucky.
Your Royal Highness, how about that tour of Bolton and on the bus? Your Royal Highness, could you please stop showing pictures of your bum?
Yeah. Let's get. I think we've gone enough down a sidetrack of Belgian royalty. Let's try and get back on the twins.
This was
train,
just a list of royal twins, wasn't it? So we've got Prince Wolfgang of Hesse. He was born in. Oh, actually, he's dead. 1896 to 1989. Well, that's quite long lived.
He's fucking dead, you cunt.
He's fucking. And not only is he dead, but she's fucking dead. Ania, Aurelia, Galilia, Lucilia, or Lucilia for short, was the second daughter and third child of Roman Emperor Marcus. What? That's not Prince Wolfgang of Hesse. This is supposed to be about twins.
Well, it's obviously. I'll tell you, if we want to talk about some proper royal twins, what about Romulus and Remus? Raised by wolves.
Funny enough, I was talking to. I won't mention his name, but you know who he is.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about the Aeneid because the Greeks have the founding story of the Iliad, the Odyssey.
Is that Big B you're talking about?
No. C. And he.
What, you're not
he
allowed
said,
to mention Capston's name in here.
Oh well, yeah, Capston. Yeah. But, yeah. So we were talking about the Odyssey, and he was saying that that's the Greek founding myth. The Romans were like, just to flex on the Greeks, they say, we're also Trojans as well. Romulus and Remus are from Troy. Yeah. But then they retconned it so that Aeneas is the god of Romans that founded them, and Aeneas is the king of the winds. And the reason we're doing that is because we're talking about...
Was he king of the winds as in that kind of wind?
Well, he was saying something about Aeolian spirit for something in my music.
Well, Prince Laurent likes a bit of Aeolian spirit.
Yeah, he does, actually. Well, I mean, I believe you could say he's two sheets to the wind, Prince Laurent.
Yeah.
But, fuck me. Your Royal Highness Casimir. Yeah, but Aeneid and Romulus and Romulus and Remus raised by a bitch wolf.
Bitch wolf.
You're not going to be getting milk from a male wolf, are you?
No. Well, reminds me of Gemma Kingpin, where he says, "I've milked your bull."
I've milked your cow.
Yeah.
But we don't have a cow. We have a bull. That's actually a good film. And the thing is, it's not just that bit's disgusting, but it's not horrible like.
Well, what happens to the Farrelly brothers? They did that one that I never watched with the Siamese twins, and then that was like the last film I ever watched of theirs, I think. Well, they were on it. They did Me, Myself, and Irene, Dumb and Dumber. They did Kingpin. I'm sure they did one more, but like they're the three big ones, aren't they? Oh, Something About Mary. That's Farrelly brothers as well.
Oh, so
and then they vanished without a trace.
Weird. Yeah. So twins then. Hey, is the Kowski brothers twins?
Yeah, I think they are, aren't they? Well, if they're not twins, those the ghosts in it. You know the ghosts from Matrix 2.
Yeah,
they used to be on like 60-minute makeover or something like that, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, they used to be on 60-minute makeover. I think.
I don't remember much. So, oh, hang on. No, the Wachowski brothers. There's 2-year gap between them, but
they're sisters now, aren't they?
No, they're still
Wachowski sisters.
They've got a dress and a wig on, so they're brothers.
God, I'll just have a look at the IMDb because I don't want to get this wrong about
the twins in Matrix 2.
Yeah,
is that the one when the guy says, "I love talking French. It is like wiping your ass with silk."
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
I don't know why people shit on it because it's funny and it's like way over the top.
I find the Matrix films
and that motorway scene is brilliant because they actually built a fucking motorway out of nothing. You've got to at least. Yeah.
No, the practical effects they did in that were very cool.
Yeah. So you've got to at least. That's why I enjoy that film. I don't enjoy that film because it's a good film.
So like one of them's called Lana Wachowski, and the wig it's got on reminds me of that Milia Jojovic in The Fifth Element. Multipass.
Does anybody know what the fucking ghosts were called in it? Because they're not Ghost, because Ghost was a chinky.
No, I'm going to go on IMDb as well. Let's find this out.
Oh, twin number 1, twin number 2. That's what they're called. That's what they're credited as in it.
Great names.
Yeah. Actor. 4 credits. Oh, I can't find it. Let's try Raymond Twins. I'll see if I can find, because they were on like a home improvement show, but I can't remember which one they were on. I think it's 60-Minute Makeover.
So, one of the things which we briefly touched on, but we haven't expanded more, and it might even be worth its own episode, is telepathy between family members. And has anybody done an let me just type it in search and that. See if the question comes up. Has anybody done an experiment to measure telepathy in twins? I wonder if it will say anything about Dr. Mengele. Because apparently they did a lot of experiments on twins. So there we go. New Dawn magazine, twin telepathy. Is there a special connection? Shall I share it in Doodling Pad? Yeah, let's put it in there. Join our mailing list and don't scroll through the article.
Did you know there was controversy with twins from The Matrix? At the time of the release of The Matrix Reloaded, there was some controversy from people who saw the twins as emblematic of Hollywood's negative portrayal of characters with albinism.
Albinos look weird.
Albino lives matter.
How about this one then? Film studio Warner Bros. Responded to the controversy with a spokesman saying, "It's not our intention to single out any group of people as villains, and it was never our intention to position these characters as albinos, noting the twins have black eyebrows."
It sounds like much ado about nothing, really.
It is. I don't think it sounds like. I think it actually is.
Cancel culture, isn't it?
Well, cancel culture is the name for it. But I like cult of the easily offended. Here we go. So this article it answers asks the same questions we've been asking. Is there a special bond between twins? Can they read each other's minds?
Oh,
are they telepathic?
Neil and Adrian Raymond twins, Matrix Reloaded, signed autograph reprint. You could have bought one for £5.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
If you have been hearing questions like these being asked regularly but have never found an answer, look no further. The short answer is yes and no. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. Let me explain. As Orwell famously observed in Animal Farm, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So it is with twins. Some of them are indeed more identical than others. In fact, the term identical is misleading. The medical word is monozygotic, where twins originated from a single zygote, or fertilized egg, or ovum, which then splits into two or more, those originating from separate zygotes being termed dizygotic, or fraternal, non-identical. Yet although MZ twins are commonly referred to as, that's monozygotic for you and I, as identical, there can be wide differences among them. Probably the most important one has to do with just when the original egg divides. Usually this takes place in a day or two after fertilization. But division can take place up to 12 days later, or in the rare case of conjoined Siamese twins, not at all. Although the study of twin telepathy must be one of the most under-researched subjects in the whole of science, it now seems likely that later the division, the closer the bond. Researchers at the University of Indiana have studied thousands of twins and have noticed that
the twins from the Matrix are the sons of a twin. Their father was a twin, although his brother died at birth.
Oh,
that's spooky. Yeah, that's
I don't know why, but no one will name the British Home Improvement show that they're on all of these websites.
It's
like they were in a fucking porn movie or something.
Have they been memory hold? Because
that's not even the bizarrest thing in this in this website I'm on, because the Raymonds got into show business because their uncle did a celebrity impersonation of Alfred Hitchcock. The O in Hitchcock has been replaced by a star in this icon I'm looking at.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, the censors will not let us use the name Hitchcock because
Hitchcock is dirty, apparently. Willy Bum Bum.
What the fuck?
Willy Bum Bum.
This is the funniest rabbit hole I've ever felt. They will only call them TV handymen. They will not tell you what TV handy pro show they were on.
Why?
I don't know.
We found something here. We found.
Oh, I finally found it. ITV's Better Homes. I finally found it.
The Bogdanoff conspiracy is only the tip of the iceberg. We have found
The
out.
Raymond conspiracy is the big one.
Yeah, that's it. And sorry to dox Prince Nicholas Casimir Marie of Belgium.
And his down and out dad.
Yeah, and his down and out dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally found it. They were in a TV program called ITV's Better Homes. I thought they were on one of the better ones, but obviously they weren't.
Your Royal Highness Prince Nicholas, if you're listening, I am a Belgian citizen, and I miss my family. Could you fix it so that I can go get a ferry? And that means I'll have to go to France to get to Belgium because I'd like to go and see them sometime. Yeah.
Oh shit! It was so Better Homes was a lifestyle game show that was broadcast on ITV from the 4th of January 1999 to the 1st of July 2003 and was presented by Carol Vorderman. There we go. I've said it. I've found out what they were on. What they were on. I've found it. I've got to the bottom. I've solved the conspiracy.
You cracked the code.
Yeah.
Shall I carry on with this?
Kim Wilde was in it as well.
What, in Matrix?
No, Better Homes. She was in Better Gardens.
Was Better Homes like ITV's equivalent of Changing Rooms?
Yes, I think it was.
Same time?
30 minutes really including adverts. 99 to 2003. I don't...
Yeah, that would have been the same time as Changing Rooms. You know what I really disliked about Changing Rooms? MDF, overabundance of the use of MDF.
Oh, can you imagine what that looked like in the flesh? I bet it looked nice on TV. Could you imagine how bad it looked in the flesh?
Oh, where you can see all the paintbrush strokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
97 to 2004, so Changing Rooms beat it by 2 years.
I was thinking with Changing Rooms, like I think I saw one example where the neighbours actually did genuinely nice rooms for one another.
Oh, do you remember that one where the bloke said, "I'm going out now to go and get a can of paint"? Do you remember that one? The bloke went off his fucking nut.
Oh yeah. I saw some of them where they'd be like crying when they saw it. It's like, what have you done?
Jeff said, "Hemmy, stick the kettle on. I wish to use my periwinkle tea set." Jeff's loving the Changing Rooms talk, I think.
The thing that annoyed me about Lawrence Llewellyn-Bone is I just thought, oh, yet another blatant homosexual on our
Did you know Lawrence Llewellyn-Bone used to pretend to be gay at university to get chicks?
Yeah, because he's actually married and he's got children,
yeah.
And that's the bit which annoys me about him. And it's like, when he says pretending to be gay...
It's like that bloke who looks like him. He was like the Puff the hairdresser on Brookside. But he was actually married to Linda Lusardi, the Page 3 girl.
Nice. Isn't it a bit like, what's his name? The guy who is David Williams, who definitely is not gay... at the same time is very gay and wrote a book about...
You see, where you're getting confused there is there's a difference, isn't there? There's a difference between the married gay, who probably isn't gay because he's married, and the guy that quote unquote sleeps with a lot of women, like the Russell Brand or the... I mean, you could do a show out of this conspiracy. The beard is a conspiracy that's alive and well, isn't there? Because there was the David Copperfield beard, which was Claudia Schiffer. Do you remember that?
Oh, I didn't know he was married to Claudia Schiffer.
Yeah, but she was a beard, weren't she, to cover up for the fact he was a raving homosexual.
I know, like Russell Brand allegedly shags a lot of women, but
Yeah.
he's very effeminate, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's what.
Do you think
that's
it's
the point
like
I'm saying?
when you rub your willy against so many minges, you turn a bit girly?
Mm.
So sticking your dick in a vagina's gay.
Maybe he gets
See,
a lot.
4chan was
Maybe he
right.
gets a lot of train tickets, but he don't take him up on the offer.
It doesn't. Hey, shall we carry on with this twins article here? I mean, it
Go on.
really needs the new age NLP intonation. Although the study of twin telepathy must be... Oh, we've already said that bit.
You go to bit Shatner then? Are you going for Shatner? The twin telepathy.
That's it. Yeah. Although the study of twin telepathy must be one of the most unreasonable... But University of Indiana have studied thousands of twins, have noticed that the later they divided, the closer they become after birth. So it seems likely that this is the group most likely to experience telepathy. Well, there's a point, right? I believe, like Christians do, because I am one, Catholics are Christians, that life begins at conception. In fact, I'd even say it even begins before the ovum is fertilized. I think it begins when, like, there's a twinkle in the eye and they're like, come on, let's start a family, or more likely fancy a shag. And I think that's when, like, the thought happens, and that's when the conception begins. And it's only later, like, after the fact, when the egg gets fertilized. So
here's a question for you then. Do you remember you were talking about those particles that no matter how much space they're separated by?
Quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement. Do you think that could occur with twins?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm saying that the soul arrives into
Are we actually
the fertilized
Are
ovum.
we explaining twins with science, Hobbit?
Oh, that's a bit gay, isn't it? It's a bit cringe. But hey, that's the point. They don't say it's a bit gay anymore. They just say it's cringe. I don't like that. This Zoomer terminology is gay. Anyway, quantum entanglement. Yeah. So the soul goes into the fertilized ovum.
Jeff said, "Could we tell that posh
conception.
Catholic twat to shut up and let that cheeky chappy Hemming do the reading?"
Oh, what do you want to actually read this story? Or
He's
shall we go
given
with
me a Bible
speculation?
verse. I don't know if it's a proper Bible or the Ladybird Bible that he reads, but Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
Yeah, that's yeah, okay. So the Bible says what we've speculated here, that the soul enters the thing at the point of conception, and in the case of these twins, when it later splits off,
Is that how
soul into
NPCs are
one.
created, where nobody thinks about having babies, they just have one?
When it's a thoughtless act of... Yeah, and then the parents don't do anything. They just let the state raise them up. Because you've got to say that nurture's got to account for some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know here in our circles we attribute a lot of things to nature, because that the nature of things is you can raise a wolf amongst dogs, but when it reaches puberty, it will become a wolf. Likewise, some bit about nurture, but the NPCs, I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? Because it's in their nature to be like that, and the nature is constantly reinforced through their environment.
Well, look at Ed Kemper, 145 IQ. If he hadn't have been born to that what was that? I can't remember her name. His mother. If he hadn't have been born to his mother, he could have been like working for NASA or something, couldn't he?
I used the Luther Bible of 1530 because the Ladybird Bible. When I see all the V's and vowels in it, the Shakespearean English, I just think, well, that's King James Bible. I don't know any other. I mean, I do know the others.
I like the Pope because the Pope smokes dope.
You can find the popes on the rope sometimes.
Yeah. Does the Pope use soap on a rope?
When he's smoking dope.
Yeah.
Oh, this article continues. When telepathy was taboo, it began in 1975 when Ross McWhorter, editor of the Guinness Book of Records, political activist, and one of the highest profile twins in Britain.
Was Ross the one that was said "fuck the IRA"? He was based. Ross was based because I think Norris was not. Was it Ross or Norris that survived? I can't remember.
I didn't know the brothers that did the Guinness Book of Records were twins. So yeah, Ross McWhirter was shot dead in 1975 by IRA terrorists. When I heard the news on the radio, I immediately thought that if twins really were telepathic, Ross's brother Norris should have reacted in the same way to this tragic event. I knew that telepathy seemed to be best when the message was some kind of bad news, pain, depression, sickness.
Yeah, Norris was the one that survived. Ross was the one that got killed by the IRA because he was like, "Fuck the IRA. Here's some money. Do you want to have some money? Go and hunt down the IRA money." Basically, he was a fucking madman.
What could be worse for a twin than the murder of his brother? A few years later, I met a man who worked for Norris and knew him well enough to ask if he had reacted. The answer was no, he hadn't. So that seemed to be that. Well, there we go.
Did you know
There's
this
the
one then, Hobbit? Now, in 1958, long after the legend of William Webb Ellis as the originator of rugby had been ingrained in rugby culture, Ross managed to rediscover his grave in Le Cimetière de Vieux Château at Menton in Alpes-Maritimes. What's that then?
Maritime Alps, so the Alps what are near probably the Mediterranean Sea.
It's a department of France located in the extreme southeast corner of the country on the border with Italy and on the Mediterranean coast.
Yeah, Maritime Alps then. Yeah, that makes sense because you've got Nice and Marseille and those are the two major...
So then it's since been renovated by the French Rugby Federation.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself that so they found his gravestone in the cemetery of the old chateau, the old castle. Okay.
Oh, base. This is what we should be joining. The Freedom Association is a pressure group in the United Kingdom that describes itself as non-partisan, centre-right and libertarian, which has links to the Conservative and the UKIP. The TFA was founded in 1975 as the National Association for Freedom, NAF, and gained public prominence through its anti-trade union... Oh, okay, well, not that base then.
Wait, if they're libertarian, does that mean like they're growing gay marijuana plants for paedophiles?
So this is the one. McWhirter advocated on various restrictions for the freedom of the Irish community in Britain, such as making it compulsory for all of them to register with the local police and to provide signed photographs for themselves when renting flats or booking into hotels and hostels. In addition, McWhirter offered a 50 grand reward for information leading to conviction for several recent high-profile bombings in England that were publicly claimed by the Provisional Irish Republican Army. In doing so, McWhirter recognised that he could then be a target himself. This was described as a bounty by McWhirter and considered a bounty by the IRA Army Council, a view that led directly to the events that followed, although the idea was not originally his, but that of John Gourier.
This article, the one I'm reading from, is quite long, so if you indulge me, I'll read it in my normal voice because it gets pretty interesting. So they did the thing. So the answer was no, he hadn't. So that seemed to be that. However, I kept noticing items in the press about what looked very much like twin telepathy in action, and luckily I kept them what soon became quite a thick file. This prompted me to give a short talk at the 1998 conference of the Society for Psychical Research, in which I appealed to members to do some research into this long-neglected subject. Later, one member, and only one, said he would be glad to do some experiments with twins if he could raise the funds. That was Dr. Joseph Mengele, Adrian Parker, now Professor of Psychology at the University of Gothenburg, Sweden. More about him later. The previous year, been hired as a consultant for a TV series hosted by hypnotist Paul McKenna, and asked to come up with suggestions for material to be included in it. My first suggestion was for a live demonstration of twin telepathy in the studio. I had no idea this could be done, but luckily Paul liked the idea and just said, yes, we'll do it. Thanks to his producer Mike Johnstone, an Oxford science graduate who wanted things done properly, we did it and were able to show what I believe is the first live demonstration of telepathy of any kind as it happened, and with a polygraph chart to prove it. Oh, and they've even got a footnote there. It's footnote 3. At about the same time, I happened to meet Norris's McWhirter's son, Alistair, and was very intrigued to hear he had been with his father at the moment Ross was killed. And yes, Norris had indeed reacted, and quite dramatically, but had wiped the incident from his mind and generally could no longer remember it. I immediately wrote down his account and asked him to approve it, which he kindly did, and I duly published it with his consent. It was then that I decided that this subject needed thorough investigation. nobody seemed to have done it before. I began in the drafty basement of the Royal Society of Medicine beneath their library, where they have a whole shelf of books about twins, at least 100 of them. I spent the best part of a day looking at all of them and finding that almost none of them even mentioned telepathy, or so those they did either dismissed out of hand or pointed out quite reasonably that while anecdotal reports of seemingly telepathic experiences were quite common, there had never been any proper research into the subject, so it was too early to draw any conclusions.
So why do you think this is, Hobbit? Do you think do you think there's a genuine a genuine skepticism from academia, or do you think the military and the government dissuade people from doing the research?
Oh God! Well, I mean, the one thing I've noticed in this world is the way things are hushed up, and we're all told it's mundane. Like you're on a speck of dirt in an insignificant part of the galaxy.
Well, it all happened by random, bro.
It's all random. Dragons were never real. These dinosaurs, they're definitely dinosaurs, and they're not magical beings, even though it's impossible for a creature that big to be alive under Earth gravity because it'd be crushed under its weight. How would the joints work? The giants weren't real, but we've hidden all the skeleton remains, and we had giant skeletons here. There was one in Mont Saint Michel, the Cornish one, St Michael's Mount, which was exhumed in the 1950s. So there's all these things done to make the mundane world. So you can't have this thing of saying, which would then prove what the Bible says, Jeremiah 1:5-5. That the hang on, I'm going to read it out again just to piss off Jeff. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. So, yeah, it was known by ancient man that the soul comes into the flesh during conception, and that's why it's a magical moment. And so I believe extensive research has been done on twin telepathy, but most of it's hidden. So shall I read the article and see what he says? Because, I mean, this should have been groundbreaking news. I mean, he was working for Terence McKenna, this bloke, whoever he is, and he proved telepathy. But they probably just dismissed it. No, it's just a fluke. Yeah, no. Well, okay, repeat the experiment then. We got the process, the experiment. Anyway, drafty basement. Sadly, it still is. Oh, they just don't talk about telepathy in scientific circles, academic circles. That's the top time, because if you're scientific, you're looking for the truth. If you're academic, you'd be like, "Oh, I poo-poo that idea." To give just one recent example, in 2000, the Nobel Prize winner, physics 1973, Brian Josephson, attracted a storm of protest from his fellow scientists when he declared that there might be a connection between quantum theory and telepathy. Yeah, because you've got quantum entanglement. See? We're as smart as these people, mate. Then in 2010...
We didn't really latched onto this half hour ago, I bet.
Yeah. In 2010, he was invited to speak at a workshop in Italy on foundation of physics. At least he thought it was, until he got a message from the organizer, Anthony Valentini, informing him that it has come to my attention that one of your principal research interests is the paranormal. In my view, it would not be appropriate for someone with such research interests to attend a scientific conference. Get out of here, you dirty Anglo. What can one say? Yeah. Experiments and studies involving twins. In 1979, a major twin research program got underway at the University of Minnesota, aimed at studying twins who had been separated at birth and reunited later, sometimes much later. This made it possible to assess the difference between genetics and upbringing, or nature and nurture as it is often known. What the researchers found was that there was often remarkable similarities between the twins' personalities. You've given examples of that earlier on, so I'll skip over that. There were two reasons for this. One is that they never asked for it. I've interviewed a British twin who spent a couple of weeks at the university being questioned by a battery of psychologists and studied from head to toe now. The only thing they never asked her about, she told me, was telepathy. One member of the original Minnesota team, Dr. Nancy Segal, has repeatedly and publicly proclaimed there just isn't any convincing scientific evidence for it. Bollocks. Which may have been true in 1979, it wasn't, but as we should see, it's no longer true today. The other reason is that her opinion was, of course, based on a study of separated twins, whom I would not expect to have much of an experience of it, if any, because telepathy seems closely related to strength of bond, as between mothers and babies, or dogs and their owners. Or dog telepathy. I mean, it's understood. The dogs know when their master comes home. The Minnesota program received wide publicity, and somehow Dr. Seagal's repeated denials of the existence of telepathy have given the general public the impression that it doesn't exist. I had a taste of this taboo response myself when I went along to King's College London to visit their twin research. Did you know KCL has a twin research unit?
No, KCL. What's KCL?
No. King's College London. One of the largest in the world. Oh, so there's more than one twin studies unit, but anyway, it's the largest in the world with about 10,000 twins on their register. I wondered if I could get access to the mailing list and sent out a questionnaire. What about, the lady at the desk wanted to know. I muttered something about biological correlates of empathy, knowing what to expect if I mentioned the taboo T word. What's that then, she asked. I explained it's what some people might call telepathy, to which she immediately replied that the unit was... she immediately replied that unit was not interested in spooky woo-woo stuff. Get the fuck out of here, you nut job.
I've got to say this tweet I've just seen. My 70-year-old mother just informed me she's going to her first sex party and doesn't know what to bring. After some delicate questioning, gender reveal, mum. It's called a gender reveal.
Apparently, there's no such thing as gender. That was a neologism coined by the usual suspects to try and confuse the matter of sex. You're either male or female, unless you're one of those strange females where you've got an XO chromosome, but you're still biologically female.
Oh shit! Now, what was that one? The blank chromosome. Do you remember that one we saw? When we did with the other twins.
So if you've got an X and an O, you're just default female, but you're missing one set of chromosomes.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's such a thing as a YY.
Yeah.
Hang on. No, I'll find that in my own time. I'll read about it later. So so she said we don't do that spooky stuff. Luckily, she was wrong. A couple of years later, in 2004, the unit polled all the twins in its annual newsletter and asked them if they've ever felt the ability to know what was happening to your twin. Bastards. That's so typical. It's like when J. Michael Straczynski went to Paramount and said, I want to do this science fiction show called Babylon 5 about a space station. And they said, no, we're not interested. We got Star Trek. A few years later, Star Trek Deep Space Nine comes out. Steal his idea. I like Deep Space Nine, though. The results were surprising. 9,000 twins were polled, and the unit received 5,513 replies. Of these, a minority of 45% said no, but 15% said yes. Hang on, a minority of 45% said no, but 15%... I suppose that's the minority because, 15%... Yeah, because it's less than 50. 15% said yes, and a further 39% thought it was at least a possibility. That was probably the largest survey of its kind ever, and it was encouraging. Although clearly a more detailed questionnaire was needed, I only heard about it 5 years later, and in 2009, suddenly everything seemed to happen all at once. It began with a story in the Manchester Evening News on the 20th of March.
I've just seen to a really depressing Hobbit. College student makes her OnlyFans free after getting cheated on. Rachel Rain, 22, a student in Canada, has made her OnlyFans free after walking in on her boyfriend and roommate in bed together.
That's sad, and that's Tuesday. That's a Tuesday show thing.
Yeah, I really ought to stop that.
Yeah. So 5 years later, you go with the story in Manchester of 15-year-old who was having a bath when her sister, downstairs listening to music, suddenly feeling that, as she put it, it was like a voice telling me that your sister needs you. She did indeed, because she was having an epileptic attack and was in the process of drowning. According to the paramedic, who arrived just in time to save her, if her sister had not rushed upstairs to her aid, she would have died. The story was picked up a couple of days later by the Times. By the way, this isn't just limited to twins. Telepathy is real.
Did I read that one out earlier, or did I just read it? The one with the twin where the baby's choking?
Chat.
Did I read that one out?
Chat, tell us if you want.
There was a very similar story anyway. Basically, the little boy... No, there's a little boy and a little girl. The little boy was staying at the grandmother's. Little girl wakes up in the middle of the night crying, wheezing, can't breathe. She keeps saying there's something wrong with her brother, something wrong with her brother. So the grandmother goes to check, and the little boy's having an asthma attack. And finally, as soon as the girl found out the paramedics had arrived, she calmed down completely.
Well, that's the thing. It's one soul, two bodies.
Yeah.
So the story is picked up a couple of days later by the Times, which included a quote from Dr. Lynn Cherkas from King's College Unit, who had been responsible for the survey mentioned above. She proved to be quite open to the idea of spooky stuff, and had already come across instances of apparent telepathy. I managed to get her in touch with Adrian Parker, who was promptly granted visiting scientist status and given access to the unit's material. He was also invited to its annual garden party, where he was able to do some informal testing and undertake a more detailed questionnaire with many of the 200 or so twins who attended. Suddenly, twin telepathy research had become academically acceptable. Yet, sympathetic as they were, the King's people didn't have any spare funds. Parker was welcome to use their premises and their twins, but he would have to find his own financing. More good luck just when it was needed. Parker was also able to find it from a Danish TV company and arrange a controlled experiment in the University of Copenhagen, again using a polygraph.
Well, how about this one, a quick one, Hobbit? During 1975, a tragic event happened when a moped driver in Bermuda was sadly killed by a taxi driver. The creepy coincidence in this tragic story happens a year later, where the previous moped driver's brother was killed while driving the exact same moped that his brother was on the exact same street. It was soon discovered that the same exact taxi driver killed the two brothers and was also carrying the same exact passenger.
That's almost like one of the first Fortean wares you did about the cursed car that, was it a singer or an actor was driving?
Oh, the little bastard. Yeah, I remember the little bastard. That's James Dean's car.
Ah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, the University of Copenhagen, again using a polygraph to record the reactions, if any, of a twin in another room, was subjected to various surprises such as electric shock, a pile of plates being dropped behind the chairs, or best of all, being asked to plunge an arm into a bucket of ice-cold water. This is Joseph Mengele-style stuff. The polygrapher, who had no idea what was going on in the other room, was then asked to mark his chart at the times when there was what looked like an unusual fluctuation. The second polygrapher, who was not present at the time and had no idea what the experiment was all about, was asked to do the same. Both picked the right spots twice, as often as they could have been expected to do by chance or guesswork. The experiment was repeated, this time in London at King's Unit, funded by the ABC News Nightline programme. The results were similar. Parker and his Danish colleague Christian Jensen duly wrote up their two experiments and submitted them to Journal Explore, which published them in 2012 and 2013. They're the first of the kind ever to appear in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. Twin telepathy, the evidence mounts. I'm halfway through the article. We're 2/3 now.
Okay, I'll give you a quick break. I've got another one here. In Great Britain, there were twin brothers by the names of Arthur and John Moforth. These twins lived 80 miles apart from each other, and on the same night, May 22nd, 1975, they both fell extremely ill with severe chest pains. During this time, each family of the other brother had no knowledge the other was sick, making this creepy coincidence even creepier. And around the same time, the two twin brothers were rushed to completely separate hospitals, and unfortunately both died from heart attacks a short while after they arrived.
Did they record time of death?
It's only a short article, so I don't know. I did try and find a longer form story, but I couldn't find one.
Well, that's all right. So this was more than 230 years after the publication of the first reference they had been able to find into twin telepathy, when John Wesley, the founder of Methodism... Really? I thought that was Thomas Fox. Wait. You know what? I'm going to look up Methodism after the show as well, so I'll just put that in a separate tab, because I'm sure it was Thomas Fox. But anyway, wrote in his journal for the 2nd of April 1781 about a woman who had a twin sister, between whom and her there is so strange, a sympathy that if either of them is ill or particularly affected at any time, the other is so likewise. Yet, although they were occasional, he was in the olden days, they spoke funny back then. Yet, although there was occasional references to this strange sympathy over the following century, most notably in Alexandre Dumas's novel The Corsican Brothers, 1844, and by scientist Francis Galton, who made a rather half-hearted attempt to study twins in the 1870s, it was not until the publication of 1886 of Phantasms of the Living, a massive tome by three founder members of the Society for Psychical Research, Edmund Gurney, Frederick Myers, and Frank Podmore, that any case histories were written up in detail and checked for accuracy. Even so, it was to be several more decades before any psychologist found the subject of twin telepathy worthy of attention, with the exception of Chicago zoologist and twin Horatio H. Newman.
How about this one then? How about this one, just to give you a break, Hobbit? This is nothing to do with twins or anything, but it's just like a really weird coincidence. Henry Sieglin thought he had dodged fate. In 1883, he broke off a relationship with his girlfriend, who out of distress committed suicide. The girl's brother was so enraged that he hunted down Sieglin and shot him. The brother, believing he had killed Sieglin, then turned the gun on himself and took his own life. But Sieglin had not been killed. The bullet, in fact, had only grazed his face and lodged in a tree. Sieglin surely thought himself a lucky man. Some years later, however, Sieglin decided to cut down the large tree which still had the bullet in it. The task seemed so formidable that he decided to blow it up with a few sticks of dynamite. The explosion propelled the bullet into Sieglin's head, killing him.
My God, talk about that for luck.
Talk about a bullet with your name on it, eh?
I'll say. Horatio Newman included a chapter believed to be based on his own experience in Twins and Super Twins, 1942. From that day to this, I've only been able to track down 16 papers on twin telepathy from peer-reviewed journals. We should have had this bloke on. Nearly half of which were by Adrian Parker and his colleagues. Of the rest, only 3 were any lasting value. The first, 1961, by 3 psychologists based in Toronto, was useful, although for various personal reasons they never actually got down to doing any experiments. They did however do some original research, questioning a total of 35 twins on the experience of telepathy, and finding that 12 of them had some. This figure of around 30 to 35% has shown up in all surveys of this kind to date, including those done by recently at King's College by Parker. The second, 1963, by a pair of ophthalmologists from Philadelphia, was very short, but attracted some attention since it appeared in Science, one of the world's leading scientific journals. They claimed that when alpha brain rhythm was artificially induced in one twin, the brainwave chart, the electro EEG, of the other one showed the same rhythm at exactly the same time. Oh, well, that is quantum entanglement. I mean, there it is right there. I mean, if the EEG readings for the brainwaves are the same, right. Despite their plea for further research in this area, the only people who seemed to hear it were a team from Rockland State Hospital in Orangeburg, NY, who reported successful results in 1967 using a plethysmograph to measure blood volume, and were able to conclude that in a physically isolated subject, we have observed physiological reactions at the precise moment at which another twin was stimulated.
Stimulated? What? Wank?
What? So
wank.
Like, yeah, I mean, that would increase blood pressure, or you startle them, or you tell them to immerse their hand in a bucket of ice cold water. Both of these teams published printouts of their chart recordings that, as one of them put it, show how obvious the reactions are. Yet once again, research ground to a halt, and more than 40 years later we find the serial side debunker Professor Richard Wiseman declaring glibly that twin telepathy is due to highly similar ways in which they think and behave, not some extrasensory perception. Oh, fuck off, mate. I mean, the RAF will not to get too into it, but members of my family were selected by the RAF for their ESP powers. This is before the computer era. An example of this was given to me by a mother who noted that her twins' baby teeth both fell out at the same time, which she thought was amazing proof of telepathy. I assured her it wasn't. They were both eating the same food at the time, and since they were genetically identical, it's quite natural and predictable that this would happen. Really?
They're eating exactly the same food, so that the consistency of both foods was exactly the same. No molecular difference whatsoever.
And so same texture, and they're chewing exactly the same way, same amount of chews, same amount of like, I'm going to move the food to this side of the mouth or that side of the mouth. That's a bit okay. That's not telepathy, but that's an interesting coincidence nonetheless. So a very different incident was not predictable was described to me by another twin mother, in which one of her girls was bouncing around on the trampoline when another child landed on top of her and bashed her in the eye, raising a large dark bruise. At the same time, a sister who was not on the trampoline suddenly developed a bruise in exactly the same place.
That's just a coincidence, isn't it?
That's quantum entanglement. They're right. Case closed. Thank you very much for listening. Twin telepathy is real. You may now go away.
I think that's us done for tonight. Unless you have any more to add.
Well, I mean, there's like another few more paragraphs. I mean, do you want to do like a 5-minute overtime for interesting content?
We'll do this one. Looks like I might do a twins episode 3. So I still haven't mentioned that pair of batty twins.
Oh wow. Okay. It was also particularly well witnessed and recorded example of what makes twin telepathy differ from ordinary telepathy. Ordinary telepathy.
Oh yeah,
it's sometimes
run-of-the-mill telepathy.
Oh, I don't want any of that boring humdrum mundane telepathy. But this is sometimes referred to as mental telepathy, since it only involves impressions, images, or perhaps words in the ear. Twins go further. They receive physical sensations such as pain, which can even leave visible marks on the body, as in the case mentioned above. Funny enough, you know those multiple personalities...
we need to do something about witch doctory at some point. But do you know what a houngan is? It's like a voodoo priest, and what happens is in certain cases they'll send out like psychic hitmen, and what'll happen is these guys, they have like it's a sharpened bone that they point at people, and it works like psychically like a gun. So they pointed at this guy, and then the guy dies. But there was one guy that survived it because basically his body gave up, but they put him in a iron lung, and he survived. So then he realised that the white man's magic was more powerful than the black man's magic. So he made a full recovery.
Nice. I want to mention this bit about like the stigmata or the physical signs, like that twin getting a bruise on her eye, even though she wasn't on the trampoline. Multiple personalities. They found people that have got marks on the skin when they undergo into an altar. They lose the marks, or they gain new marks, or even in case like they have different blood types. Which to me, just like if you've got like type A blood and you put like type B or AB in that, it will coagulate and you'll die. So I don't know how that works, but that's a strange thing. So maybe multiple personalities is like more than one soul trying to inhabit the same body. Or
possession as well. I mean, they do the there's all the snake-like movements. The bones don't seem to work. The bones seem to be different.
Mm.
The Wrigley's twins. Who are the Wrigley's twins?
I don't know. It can get even more mysterious, as when one twin has the pain, but it's the other one who has the medical problem, or he has the accident. Mother has told me how one of her boys complained of severe pain in his kidney, yet after an x-ray, doctors could see no sign of anything wrong with it. Fortunately, she took his brother along. He had not mentioned having any pain, and it was found that he did have quite a serious kidney problem that needed immediate treatment. It was, she told me, not the first time something like this had happened. Clearly, we have a lot to learn from twins. I have collected quite enough evidence, much of it firsthand, to show that communication at a distance can take place and can be seen to take place under controlled laboratory conditions. Yet, as I have said earlier, there remains one of the most under-researched subjects in all of science. The reasons I usually hear is that telepathy is obviously impossible. Why? Since there is no known mechanism that could explain it. Well, it's like, flight's impossible because there's no known mechanism that can explain it. A bumblebee flies because it doesn't care about man's laws. It's an anarchist. There was a time when the idea of the Earth orbiting the sun was out of the question. Yeah, because it's bollocks. Flat Earth is real. As were claims that meteorites.
Oh God, the postbag's going to be full of it.
I know. Full of dog shit. The meteorites fell from the sky or continents drifted apart. Such attitudes are still with us. It is barely 20 years since the heroic Australian doctor Barry Marshall disproved the dogma that stomach ulcers are caused by
I'm Barry Marshall. Bang, and the dirty's gone.
Yeah, no, this was
Harry
brilliant.
Scott, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, Dr. Barry Marshall, he did something which was, they deemed it unethical, but because he did it to himself, they accepted his research. So he says, look, I mean, yeah, sure, stress can cause stomach ulcers, but I think there is a bacteriological reason for it. So he infected himself with bacteria and gave himself a stomach ulcer. He says, see,
Based.
I was right. Now, I'm in a lot of pain, so can we fix this ulcer?
Yeah.
Barry Marshall...
Bang, and the dirty's
here
gone.
He goes. He showed after infecting himself with
Bang, and the ulcer's gone.
Helicobacter pylori germs. This is what caused most of them, and that they could be cured within a week or so of antibiotics. No Nobel Prize has ever been better deserved. The concept of a germ... Hang on, this is Australian, isn't it? The concept of a germ causing ulcers was like saying the earth is flat. I shall record later. So to some is the idea... But the earth is flat. So the idea is some of Fortean's, yet alone actual physical symptoms, travelling across space. And with attitudes such as was shown in Brian Josephine's notorious disinvitation, still prevalent in the world of scientific research funding, it may take some time to prove that they do, and to force us to rethink what we know of biology, psychology, and physics, and quantum entanglement. He hasn't put that bit in there, but clearly what they're showing there is twins are interlinked somehow. Whoever manages to do that, as now seems quite possible, also deserve a Nobel Prize. And there's a thing here as well, there's like a website. Are you a twin that has a telepathic connection to your twin sister or brother? And author Guy L. Playfair would like to hear from you.
Oh, you know Guy L. Playfair, is that your Hobbit?
Guy L. Playfair?
Yeah.
No?
Do you remember the Enfield haunting?
Oh.
He was the guy that he was the guy that did most of the research in the Enfield haunting.
Oh right. Well, here we go. Here's Guy L. Playfair, and he's come up again in Fortean words because he has released a book called Twin Telepathy, which was first published in 2002. So there you have it. Twin telepathy is real. Twins are spooky. One soul in two bodies, the opposite of multiple personalities, but that's a subject for another time.
Whoa,
Wear my
spoopy
arse
twins.
as a hat, please.
Yeah.
Look, two girls in the...
Can you do a show about Bodger and Badger?
Oh, I'd love to do a show about Bodger and Badger.
But they're not spoopy.
Oh, you say that, but what about Mousy?
I suppose we could do it about nonsense at the BBC. Right, anyway, we all done now?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Right, we're all done. Go away now.
Go away.